What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be talking about the all-new Glock. The Glock 19X MOS. Now this is an interesting pistol. It has a lot of interesting history and it has some updates to it that makes it new for 2024. So let's get into it. Before we do that though, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. Because of you, we actually have the 19X, so we really appreciate you guys. And if you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do it. Just go to the link in the description and sign up. Also in that description is a link to a local homeless shelter named Iowa. It's the YSS. So please go down and donate to those kids. Now, the Glock 19X was a gun that was just fraught with controversy from the very beginning. This is the most recent model, but let me show you the original before we get going here. This is the 19X. This is the model that was introduced for the modular handgun contract for the United States military. Now, I should say it's this handgun, but minus the manual safety that Glock slapped on there to try to make it work for the contract. Now, there was a lot of controversy about the contract, but at the end of the day, the M18 and M17 by SIG actually won the contract. A couple reasons for that in my personal opinion. One, because they actually made a modular pistol for the modular pistol contract, which had a fire control unit. The second thing is they sold them basically at the cost they were making them for, in my opinion, the marketing of having the military handgun, which boosted SIG's appeal across the handgun market and made the 320 what it is today. The 320 was around before the military contract and nobody bought them, but nowadays everybody owns one because if it's good enough for the military, it's good enough for you. Now, Glock was the final entry besides the M17 and M18 in that contract, and it was basically just a Glock with a manual safety. Still, the military and most of the operators wanted this pistol, but it was too expensive and it wasn't modular, so it was out of luck. Now, that wasn't the end of the Glock 19X. From there, went to the civilian market where many people purchased this, partially because of the lineage, partially because it was the new Glock and Glock fanboys will buy anything, mostly because it looks cool and it's still a reliable, durable pistol, and you don't need a modular pistol for concealed carry, self-defense, or anything like that. As a matter of fact, it can be a detriment, especially when they fall apart or don't work, like this guy.
Well, that's not so good.
Now, this was obviously lacking a lot of modern features right out of the gate because it was meant for the contract and it doesn't have some of the new Gen 5 MOS features like a lot of people want. Still the cool tan look, but not the optics capability of the Gen 5 guns. Well, enter the 19X MOS, which comes with the optics system, which everybody wanted, and a threaded barrel, which is kind of nice. Now, other than that, it's pretty much the exact same pistol. We have a 4-inch slide on a full-size Glock 17 frame, so think 19 slide on Glock 17 frame, and that's very popular for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you're not running light on the gun, it actually is easier to holster in a duty rig. So if you have a shorter slide and you're running it on your hip or in the appendix position, it actually is a lot more comfortable when you're in a car all day long, so it's not stabbing you in the junk, and you still get that full capacity, which is why a lot of law enforcement officers really like the shorter slide, longer grip, and I totally understand that. It's also good for concealed carriers as well that aren't concerned about printing, because this is the most uncomfortable part of the gun right here, but this is the part of the gun that prints the most. So you'll see both sides. A lot of times you see people that want just a 4-inch gun with a regular grip. Sometimes they want a 4-inch gun with a full-size grip, and then sometimes they want a full-size slide with a short grip, and that really depends on whether or not you're more concerned about getting poked in the dick or printing. It's up to you. It does come with 3 magazines. It comes one standard flush fit 17 round magazine here, which you can see fits right up into the grip. Very nice. And then it comes with 2 of these 19 round magazines, which were all reliable in our testing. The gun went 100%, so very nice so far. Now, one of the issues with the Glock 19X is a lot of the magazines actually don't fit in the gun, the standard Glock magazines, because of this little lip right here. Now, I know they kept that in there because it looks cool, but that does kind of suck that only about a third of my Glock magazines actually work in this gun. Now, as you can see here, we do have some big sticks and they work just fine. However, the standard magazines with the standard base plates don't actually work, as you can see there. They don't lock all the way in. And that's because of this little nub right here, which sort of sucks. Now, other than that, it's basically a plain old Gen 5 Glock without the front slide serrations, which I'm not really sure why they don't have. In all fairness, it does have the track record which you want from Glock, and that is one of the reasons why people buy the Glock, because they are reliable, they are durable, and they are very classic, and most people know them, so they're easy to use. There's no safety on the gun. They're the classic original striker-fired polymer frame pistol, and because of their lineage, because of their name, because of their looks, because a lot of people like the way they look, they're still going to sell very well. But how did it actually do in the testing? Well, we shot plenty of rounds through this, whether it be 115, 147 grain, and it all functioned just fine. That being said, it's the same old Glock. It's reliable, it's durable, but it's not the most accurate pistol in the world because it has a relatively heavy trigger. This one measured out at about 6.5 pounds, which is pretty similar to all the other Glocks that we have on the channel. Now, it's cool that it came with a threaded barrel in case you want to suppress it, but to be honest with you, Glocks don't really suppress all that well. And it can be an issue. Once you hang a big suppressor off the end of it, sometimes you have reliability problems. Sometimes you don't. We actually didn't shoot this suppressed, but we do plan on putting a Radian ramjet on here in the future, and that's the other cool thing about the new 19X is that you can do the new hotness, which is take a short slided gun and put a muzzle brake on it. So you have the full 17 size slide, but only 4 inches of it reciprocate, and then you have the added weight and muzzle brake on the end, which decreases recoil a great deal. I actually got to shoot one of those at the GunCon event at the Brownells last year, and I was pretty happy with it. As you can see here, I do like Radian stuff because I do have their optics mount on this as well, which I do really like. It replaces an issue that Glock also has that they have not fixed, which is the plate system. The plate system on Glock was one of the first, and I understand that when you come out, you have some issues. However, they haven't fixed the issue at all. The plates end up bending and occasionally breaking, causing loss of zero and loss of your dot completely, and this is a situation they could fix with a simple engineering change. Using a little bit better material or making it thicker, whatever you have to do to make it up to the snuff of some better optics mounting systems like the Echelon or the M&P, which are competitors in the same price point. So I don't like that they didn't fix the MOS system. I don't like that they didn't add serrations, but it does have that cool tan color, and it does have the threaded barrel, which is added value. The MSRP of the Glock 19X MOS comes out at around $700, which isn't too bad, but if you compare what you can actually get on the market, it's not exactly on par with its other peers. And what I mean by that is you get same basic 90s features for around $700 with a brand new paint job. Now, I like the gun, don't get me wrong, but again, it's just a Gen 5 Glock that was released 5 or 6 years ago with a different paint job. There isn't any other change. If you look at some of the other companies trying to compete with Glock, like Walther, for example, releasing the PDP Pro, you get all this stippling, a magazine well, 3 extended magazines, a match trigger that would make Glock cry. If you've ever actually tried the PDP trigger, it's incredible, and then add the fact that Walther puts their match trigger in it for only $100 more, gives you the threaded barrel and their optic system with front slide serrations. You actually get a lot more value for your money with one of these. There's also the M&P Spec series that comes with a threaded barrel. Now, this is going to be a little more expensive than the 19X, but you get a lot more as well with the metal frame, the muzzle brake included, steel suppressor height sights, which is very cool, and then obviously M&P's optic system with their plate system and all of the slide work. So there are other options, including the SIG as well. The X Macro is a very similar in capacity and feature set, but it is very slim, and it has an included muzzle brake, so it has even a little bit less recoil than the 19X. It's very light, very easy to carry, and you get the same capability for around the same price. So Glock certainly isn't the only game in town anymore, and if you compare it to something like the Echelon, where you get the fire control unit, you get a better trigger, you get better serrations, you get a better optics mount, you get better stippling, and you get steel sights out of the factory, it doesn't look that good anymore. That being said, if you are a Glock guy and you have been shooting Glocks for years and you don't want to change, I completely understand. They're a fine gun and they work well. if you're not doing a lot of pinpoint target shooting or you're not trying to shoot as fast as possible on the gram, the Glock will work great. Reliable, durable, trustworthy. You can get parts, you can get holsters, and you can get magazines literally everywhere. So I'm not saying the 19X is a bad choice. I'm just simply saying that these updates are less updates and more things they should have done to begin with, and things that most companies are already doing for the same price or even a little bit less. Now, as far as the shootability, it worked very well. It's going to be better with the comp, but let's be honest, the trigger needs an update. Now, I'm a bit of a trigger snob, so as long as you're good with Glock triggers, it's good with you. At some point, I think Glock is going to actually have to innovate and come out with a brand new system, but that day hasn't shown up yet because Glock fanboys are still buying these guns. I mean, I have one. Overall, I think it's a good gun, not a great gun, and I think it's exactly what we expected from Glock, but not what we needed. I don't think it's going to be something most of you need to run out and buy, especially considering that the 19X came out over 5 years ago, and most of you have probably already milled an optic into yours if you wanted one. And in all fairness, milling an optic from a company is not only affordable these days, but it's a better system with a lower amount of dot that has less likelihoods of failure. If you don't like the MOS plates, I mean, just getting a direct milled optic eliminates that issue. So it gets, again, the optic lower and more durable. So it's kind of a win-win. On top of that, you can get Ameriglow suppressor height sights that are better than the ones that come on the Glock for around $100. For about $200, which is the extra you're gonna pay for this gun, you could have had that all done already 5 years ago yourself. If you want to see more about this gun, let me know in the comment section below. If you want to see a direct comparison, maybe on the range, time trial, something like that, let me know in the comment section as well. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please support your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.